So let's try this again. We're going to do a rough test. Um, and just wanted to share a couple of thoughts and opinions on what we're seeing here with these duplicates, or I should say variants, depending on who you ask, of the third scale releases recently from Prime 1, and just their statues in general and their business ethics. And the idea of releasing different variations of the statues, largely in the form of color variants. I'd say about 8 or 9 out of 10 of these that they've done are probably just color changes. Some of them include base changes, maybe some structural changes here and there, like with this latest Poison Ivy. And I think you're seeing a lot of people come forward upset that they might have, Prime 1 in this case, stepped on their heels and are re-releasing something they previously thought was sold out. So back to what I was saying. So Prime 1 releases this skin color variant. It says Poison Ivy skin color. That's just a funny way of wording it. And price is $13.49. It's got a nice limited edition run of 500. And right off the bat, let's just take a look at this thing. For $1,300 today, a third scale from Prime 1, that's actually a pretty good bargain. I don't recall what the green skin retailed for. Just looking through, 78 centimeters high. This is a massive piece, a ton of presence. Everybody who has this statue said, the green version at least, says it's best in class. And you can't get a better Poison Ivy or representation of the character. It's largely agreed upon to be a Grail. There's a lot of people who are spending like $225, I think upwards of $3,000 to get this in their house. It's a really nice statue. If you're a fan of Batman at all, and especially if you're a third scale collector, the original is something that you would probably hold dear. Nobody gives a character like this that much love. It oozes, sexuality in a very classy way. Her stance, the way that the vines wrap around her skin, how she has control of all the plant life around her, and the ferociousness of that contrasted with how beautiful she is. It's a really artistically nicely done piece. And what you're looking at here is the latest release for pre-order, and that is they've changed the skin from the green that you would see on her top. That's what the color of her skin used to be, and a really wild hairstyle, long curly, to this more organic, just natural skin tone, more traditional, in line with the character of Poison Ivy and what we're used to seeing classically from this character, thinking back to the 90s animated series, that era of, and before even, of Poison Ivy. Some people are upset. And I think the consensus in the community, I think 90% of at least the online community, who are the most vocal portions of the collecting statue, community, quote unquote, are the online people, and they're all in agreement. I think if Prime 1 just came out from the get-go and said, hey, this is what we're doing from the jump. We're going to have 2 versions of this character you can purchase. Here are their prices. Here are their limited, their run sizes, the edition size, and let the buyer make a wise purchase decision, because this is a lot of money. This statue right here is going to be $1,300. You're looking at another $500 to $700 after taxes import fees and shipping. And that's depending on where you live. I mean, it could be as high as $1,000 to $1,500 if you're international. But there's just no denying how beautiful, like translucent resin. Oh man, how beautiful this statue is. And some people are going to have a preference. There's people who own the green version of this statue who are going to want to own this version just because they look at it and just go, wow, she's a stunner. And let's be honest, it has the new kid on the block appeal. This is the new thing. So there's a lot of collectors who probably will deny it, but they always like to have the newest version of a statue inside their house. So there's definitely always the people who will trade up just because it's new, and that goes for anything. That goes for collecting cars, shoes. Any collector or anybody who's a consumer always likes to have the new thing. And there's a subset of people who just buy this because, well, it's the new version. Some people will keep both, but there's people who are in this for the long run who own the green and think, yo, you just took my statue that I, could have potentially sold for $2,000 to $2,500, even $3,000 possibly, and you just squandered it. And now they have to think about either offloading the statue now, or they have to hang on to it and hope that it either just it holds what they paid into it, which is hopefully retail, or possibly even sell it below retail. Because now that this is out, and it's really hard to judge the aftermarket on this stuff. That being said, I think more people, the longer that Prime One does this, there's an understanding that this is just how this company is at this point. Prime One is in the business to make money. They're just like any other consumer brand. They're there to make profit, hand over fist. And it's not cheap to make this shit, to get the license and to do everything. So to resume what I was saying, Prime One is a company that's looking to make profit. They understand, the cost that goes into the licensing to take something like this, as big as this is and tall as this is and as beautiful as it is, and to put it inside somebody's home. Like, what you see is what you get here, especially with the comic book pieces from Prime One. They have a 90% hit record with what they put out. And I think the consensus in the online community and the forums have been such that we're starting to have a swing of opinion, and just be more rational with our vitriol towards Prime One and other companies of the like Sideshow. They're the other big hitter when it comes to not so much as variants but business practices. That says, with the quality you're getting these days and the quality control you get, and people would scoff at the idea of value, but we're starting to be able to give them a little bit more leeway and understand the nature of the beast. Is when you buy a statue from a company of the likes of Prime One, that they're going to do something like this. They're going to try to make as much money as possible, especially in these times of uncertainty, to stay afloat. And for collectors who feel slighted, or they feel almost personally attacked because of what they deem as their investment into the company. You bought a product that they're offering. You made the decision with Prime One. Prime One they didn't promise you that you're going to be able to sell your statue for 2x what you paid on retail. There was never that promise there. You feel these collectors who have that feeling, they feel like they had the lottery ticket in their hand, and then the gas station called them back and said, "Oh, we're not going to honor the numbers that you picked for that winning ticket." Or the lottery commission says, "Oh, because you bought it at that store, we just choose to not let you take your winnings." And I use that analogy because I feel like they had the golden ticket in their hand, and the company made the decision to say, "No, we're gonna revoke that from you." And there's a little bit of anger and animosity every time they do something like this, and continue to do it with very little pushback or with very little communication with the community in that regard. So to go back to the point I was making, it seems like there's those subset of collectors that still feel slighted, and understandably, man, it's a large purchase. You feel that to be able to at least make back what you paid. Granted, hopefully you didn't pay 2-3x retail. You would hope to make back at least what you paid into the statue, so that you could further go and buy more pieces from Prime One. But just like in the rest of the other aspects of life, man, nothing's guaranteed. And Prime One, the only thing they owed you was the statue that they gave you numbered with the particular paint job that you got, and in this case, a variation that you had. So for you green skin collecting Ivy people, you still have a really beautiful statue. And you could argue, depending on what the market is, the market could the aftermarket in this case could deem that that's still more valuable than this version right here with the skin tone, because it's the comic color accurate version. But just like, you play Russian roulette with any statue you buy. You could have bought this from Prime One, the green skin, at retail from Prime One direct, and this statue could have been worth jack ass. It could have been, $1,000, and nobody would be buying the green skin version of this statue. But obviously that's not the case, and this is Prime One. This is the most transparent we'll see them. They're picking the statues that are making the most money and then putting those out there. That's their prerogative, man. This is their product. A lot of those collectors that do feel slighted, how many meetings did you sit in? How many emails did you send to get the license for this? How many artists did you have meetings with to fix the sculpture? How many things of clay or how many hours on ZBrush did you spend to sculpt this and then send it off to DC and then get it approved for the license and then talk to the Chinese the warehouse to get, their 50 painters to work on this thing and cast it perfectly? None. It's Prime One that does it all. And so I think a little more appreciation for the company that allows this all to happen would be a little nicer, just for instead of hearing like literally 95% negative animus towards a company like this who does put out just an amazing product. That's really all I have to say about it. I understand their complaints for those who are very vocal and how much they hate the fact that Prime One keeps doing stuff like this, but at the end of it all, I mean, you're going to have two collectors on both sides of this issue, and it's just going to come to a difference of opinion, because it really boils down to, why do you collect? And for some people, myself included, I collect because I like to look at these things. I don't care about what they sell for. I buy them, I purchase them with money and cash so that I can enjoy them at the end of the day. And just like anything else I enjoy at the end of the day, or anything else I buy really, I don't expect it to appreciate in value. I don't expect it to tank and fall off a cliff with these statues and pieces of painted rock in particular, but I don't expect to get 2-3x for every piece I purchase. It's just not something I do. If it does, it does. And as quickly as it appreciates and I can sell it for 2-3x, it can just as quickly depreciate in the next 8 years, when a whole company we don't even know about right now in 8 to 10 years comes out with a third scale Ivy that you can't even believe it's so amazing, with that level higher. Just like we have this Poison Ivy that blows away anything that would have came out 8 to 10 years ago. So we really need to look at where we came from in the last 10 years and understand the how far we've come from a detail perspective, paint act perspective, even concept perspective, and before we just start raising our pitchforks. I mean, this statue in 10 years, just like there's 95% of the shit that came out 10 years ago, nobody's might not even talk about this thing. It's just because it's current now, everybody's up in arms, but because they couldn't cash out their lottery ticket. But yeah, just my ultimate opinion is nothing in life is guaranteed, and that includes the after sale value of any statue. Appreciate what you have while you have it. Be happy for those who are able to buy something that you might have with a different variant, and be happy for them. And there's some pieces now that I have that I covet as my personal grails. Some of them with a low edition size of 45, and if they came out with a variant or a new version, I'd applaud the company for allowing other collectors to have it. And guess what? If my silicone bust that I'm looking at sells for half the value of what I think it's worth now because of a variant, it is what it is, because I didn't buy with the expectation to let it go for, any amount of money really, just slightly under what I paid for, or retail I should say. But outside of that, I didn't expect to get 2-3x. If it is, it's an added bonus. But anyway, guys, just thought I'd share that. If you guys have any opinions, leave them down below. I mean, this is a very hot button topic for a lot of people, and it's really putting that question out there for the online collector community. What kind of collector are you? And if you fall into either group, you're gonna have to battle with the other side to inevitably see that we're all it all comes down to a difference of what kind of collector you are. And we both understand each other's sides at this point. It's just we're just not in agreement. So that's all. Stay fresh, everybody. Later.